but one particular house stood out, a stunning $1.2 million modern home right across the street from my parents'. At the time, I thought it was funny how close it was. I never imagined I'd actually buy it. Now, it felt like the perfect answer. Within 2 weeks, the paperwork was done. I packed my things quietly, without drama, without shouting, without even resentment. Just resolve. My parents assumed I was calming down and would eventually cave in. When they saw me carrying boxes to my car, they panicked, demanding to know where I was going. I simply smiled and said, "You told me to move out, so I did." They didn't take me seriously. But the moment they watched me walk into the massive house across the street with the keys in my hand, their faces drained of color. The first night in my new home felt surreal. Not because of the luxury, but because of the peace. No shouting, no tension, no attempts to control my choices. I stood by the large window facing their house and thought about everything. I didn't buy the house to show off or humiliate them. I bought it because I deserved a place where my decisions weren't questioned and my existence wasn't treated like an inconvenience. But yes, there was a bit of poetic justice in the fact that every time they stepped outside, they'd see the home of the child they pushed away. Over the following weeks, my parents tried everything, calling, texting, even coming to the door. But I needed space. I needed them to understand that their words had consequences. Eventually, they softened, apologized, and admitted they acted out of frustration, favoritism, and pressure. I accepted their apology, but things were never exactly the same again. Still, every time I sit on my balcony and see their house, I'm reminded of one important truth: sometimes the best revenge isn't loud or dramatic. It's simply choosing yourself. The night I left my parents' house, I expected to feel broken. After all, getting kicked out by the people who raised you, over a room, of all things, is not something anyone imagines happening in their adulthood. But instead of the crushing sadness I thought I'd feel, there was an unexpected calm inside me, a quiet determination that grew stronger with every mile I drove away. I had been living in that house like a guest rather than a family member, constantly walking on eggshells, constantly adjusting, constantly being blamed for things that weren't my fault. Leaving wasn't an act of rebellion. It was an act of self-respect. The argument at dinner had changed everything. When my parents shouted at me to give up the room or move out, I realized they didn't see me as an adult contributing to the household. They saw me as someone who owed them obedience. They saw my sacrifices, paying rent, helping with bills, handling chores, as things I was supposed to do simply because I lived under their roof. And when I said no to their unreasonable demand, they chose to treat me like a problem that needed to be pushed out rather than a child who deserved consideration.